Now, let's talk about Biden's first week, almost 2 weeks in power. He's decided to go the executive order route. Now, in fairness, all these presidents have this ability that if you can't get something passed through the parliament, you just essentially write the order yourself. Some people question these things in the court. Sometimes they just let them be. But again, there'll be a to-do list that Biden says, look, I have been elected and I have been able to new broom, which means get rid of some of the bad stuff. But he has gone faster than anyone of recent history in this executive order push. And even the New York Times is starting to notice, hang on, we didn't elect a king, we elected a president.
And this is the interesting thing, is when you say that there's been past criticism of the overuse of executive orders, Joe Biden was among that chorus, saying that he didn't orders, that he should have been working more with Congress. Now, the kind of counter push that the Democrats have been saying about the use of executive orders is that these are extraordinary times, that they need to enact things quickly. We've heard the wartime rhetoric quite a few times, and you can't underemphasize how bad things are in the US at the moment. But by the same token, yes, people did elect their own representatives for the legislative process to take its course. And what's really interesting too is when we look at the makeup of these executive orders, the real discussion going into this was, oh, Joe Biden's going to lead from the centre and have to keep the real strong left elements of his party happy while getting his own agenda across. He's kind of gone the other extreme and is now just going straight for that big, bold, liberal agenda. We're talking ambitious climate targets. We're cancelling things like the Keystone Pipeline quickly. We're talking about extraordinary amounts of spending money. And so this is when people on the right especially are starting to really sit up and go, oh my goodness, what's going to happen here? This is a tumultuous year to say the least, but they've taken a bold approach to dealing with it in the meantime.
Now, obviously I view with a critical eye, and sometimes I roll those eyes when I look at some of the mainstream media who have spent 4 years questioning everything, right? Like every little thing is an example of Orange Man bad, and how little of it there is for the new president. Now, I get it, there's always a gear change, there's always a breathe out. But the country can't go with the media culture that seems to be as uncritical as this one is of the way Biden is planning to run the country.
One of the interesting things with the media approach here is they haven't seemed to re-gear yet. And what we saw in the last few years was everyone went so far into their own perspective, and it did just get so extreme. And now there's a new administration. No one's kind of sat back and said, oh, we need to rejig this. One of the big examples this week was Saturday Night Live, which is one of the most popular shows in the US. They had no jokes about Joe Biden or Kamala Harris after pretty much being a running commentary on Donald Trump for 4 years. Now, wherever your politics lies, if you're satire and you're in one of the most unprecedented political situations of our time, you might think that the president and the vice president would be fair game. You surely could find something to make light of. So this is, it's going to take a recalibration that it seems like a lot of people really aren't prepared for yet. And I'd probably give it like a good year before they really start to kind of find their rhythm with it.
See, but that's extraordinary. I mean, there's a lot of governing that can be done in a year, a lot of change that can happen in a year, a lot of mistakes that can happen in a year. But, I would suppose, and people would think this obviously as a Trump fan, but I mean, what people are seeing right now is that you are seeing the extremes of the media, right? If they want to turn anything and everything into a scandal, they turn up the noise till eventually you go, go away. All right? I'm not pretending there wasn't some self-inflicted things of the past 4 years. But conversely, when you go to total silence and you give complete free pass and you do nothing but sort of a tickle on the belly on the way through, well, then people know the next time you start to ramp it up that you're ramping it up because of Team Red, Team Blue. I know you've got to get a plane today, so we'll find out when we tune in the next couple of days about which part of the US you're going to be in. But we love having you here, as always, on a Monday night, Annalise.
Thanks, Paul.